Yeah, this is hood as fuck, but anyway, it's your homie Mac, music, art, culture, knowledge. We're not in the Dogon, but we're in Perkinson Park, Southwest Atlanta. Here with a very much requested guest, the homie Lamin.
Yeah.
Really need no introduction.
I've been on here a few times so
Yeah,
far.
he was on the first episode. But yeah, all the rigmarole, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that. Check the description box. But today I want to talk about masculinity.
That's right.
Is it under attack? Is it in a transition phase? Like, what you think?
I think it's an interesting time period when it comes to masculinity because it's definitely being attacked.
By who?
Before we say attacked, it's definitely being scrutinized.
Definitely.
Whether or not you find it as being, you feel attacked or not, I guess that's what we're discussing today. But and by what scrutinization, there's a lot of organizations now that are, to me, okay, this is my personal opinion.
Okay.
There's a lot of organizations here who are vying for power, and they have latched upon the idea of patriarchy as their base, and they're using that as a means to destroy it, but in place, replace it with their own ideas and thoughts.
Right.
Whether that is good or bad is to be said per the institution or person who is trying to break it down or have the alternative for it. With that being said, like with anything, especially in the modern times with the internet and technology, there's a lot of people who aren't qualified to speak about certain things. But they're the loudest people in the room. They may have a lot of influence, if you must say.
Hey, but they got internet connection and a social media platform, and that suffices.
That is their qualifications, apparently, in today's world. Which, if we're going to be scrutinized, then both sides need to be scrutinized. The so-called patriarchy and so-called alternative to it needs to be scrutinized. And the people who are doing the scrutiny, to me, aren't necessarily qualified. In fact, I would say more than anything, they just hurt people trying to, find their voice and find their power. And there was a statement I read the other day. You don't have to believe it or not, but it said that justice is only discussed by the powerless.
Where did I saw that somewhere too?
I want to say.
Well, you might have told me. I
think
think you told me.
I want to say it's an old Socrates quote. Don't quote me on that though.
Wow.
But yeah, it was if we're going to talk about the attacking and things like that, think about who's asking for the so-called male or patriarchy to subside.
Right.
It's those who perceive themselves with less power, less ability to be able to do the things that so-called men are able to do.
And can I interject real quick? Okay. You made a very good point. Power. And at this point, I just wish people would be more transparent and stop acting like they're coming from this higher principled space.
Mm-hmm.
You just want power.
Right.
You want the power to
decide.
But not only that, I think
make rules, make laws.
Yeah, but what I can't remember who said it, but they essentially said a lot of people gain power from their oppressors, and then they become worse than their oppressor. You know,
Possible. Very possible.
I mean, you kind of see that with Cuba with when what's your boy when Batista got overthrown by Castro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Castro went all the way out with it. I know he was at one point. If you went slightly over a quota, like I met a young lady from Cuba, she told me her grandfather, he had one extra cow than he was supposed to. He got killed on sight.
Well, I mean...
So this is all about power, let's be honest.
It is. Also, there's another thing, another component to that particular statement, and it's about resources, sharing the resources, nation building. There's a lot of things in the so-called patriarchy that is swept under the rug on how to govern people. Not just men, not just women, but people. There is, I like anime. One of the animes I watched was Naruto, whatever. But one of the guys on there was a guy named Danzo. He was the Anbu Ops, which is none but Black Ops. Just like how in America there's a black ops, if you must say. The idea is that they're the ones, the CIA and the secret shadow government are the ones that do the terrible things. The things that if they were to come to light, you would say, wow, those are evil,
terrible things.
Yeah, evil things. But it's a necessity for the same lifestyle that you are comfortable enough to try to even talk about. You know, resources we live in a world where there's a finite amount of resources, and people want everything.
And infinite wants. I was about to say.
People want everything. So when it comes to masculinity, for example, there has been I wouldn't call it disrespect, but a lack of, I would say lack of respect. Not necessarily disrespect, but just a lack of respect for what it takes to handle the needs of people. It is not a soft thing. It is not a feminine thing. This is why in most cultures, we can talk about other ones, but males and men deal with discipline. We deal with order. That's what we deal with. That doesn't say that in some of the matriarchies where we go ask for advice or questions to the women, but in the end of the day, it all fails down to the men because we have the physical prowess, the deeper voices to be able to control people, or at least to get people to do what is necessary, regulate them. So in modern time, like I said, there's a lack of respect for that. There is a lack of respect for the dirty jobs. When we talk about equality, they never talk about equal jobs inside of the dirty jobs, such as sewer cleaners, or radiation cleaners, or garbage men, or
just blue collar in general.
Or, exactly. We don't talk about equality when we're talking about corporations and the higher corporate ladder, the plush jobs. Hey, we want more women CEOs, which is not a bad thing, but I say we need more women telecom people.
But hold on. My thing is, and this has been my gripe with a lot of feminism, they selectively want to be put to the fire.
Yes.
Like the blue collar stuff, or like anything that is potentially dangerous. Men, go ahead.
Yeah.
But
they called it a sacrificial male or something like that.
Wow.
You know, in wars you can die, jobs you can die. You know, suicide with the top of, homelessness with the top of. There's a lot of issues that because we're men, it's like suck it up. Yeah. And you know, when we talk about, like I said, feminism and things like that, don't get it twisted. I think there's a lot of things that feminism that's good. There's also a lot of things that feminism to me just seems to be just a power trip.
But see, I gotta interject. There's a book called "They Were Her Property." I can't remember. It was a black woman, I believe, that wrote it. And the whole premise, it speaks of the institutional power that white women had in the antebellum South. A lot of people don't realize there were a lot of white women. Oh, I thought it stopped. Anyway, there are a lot of white women who owned property, owned resources, and owned people.
Yeah, they did.
But we don't talk about that. And my issue with a lot of these very vocal white feminists, down with the patriarchy. But my thing is, you benefit by proxy.
Yes,
you benefit.
They've always. That's the.
It's like a dove. They play on both sides of the fence.
That's the race relations when it comes to the feminist. In the black community, you see this conversation on both sides, especially when it comes to black men and black women, where especially the black men say, "Hey, was it Gloria Steinem?
Gloria Steinem, and how she was like a CIA operative."
Hey, the CIA operative. The lady was not for it. No part of history did the black man subjugate black women. We didn't have the power for that.
Especially institutionally.
Yeah, we didn't have the power for that. So the actual gripes that were being griped upon was not towards us.
Right.
It was toward the white business class. But some type of way, we became the
enemy.
Not even the enemy. We're like the proxy to so-called white supremacy. Like, I've seen the memes, black men are the
white men of black society. So that's what I'm saying. We've been contextualized as the enemy.
Exactly. And that's not true at all. We've never been the enemy. In fact, let's talk about, we're talking about white women back in the suffrage movement, 1919, I believe. Yeah. It was headed by men.
I did not know that.
It was. Why? Because women women for the most part didn't want the responsibilities that came with voting. Because now you couldn't just say bad man, bad this.
Right.
Now, if something happened and it goes against your well-being, you can just say, look, you didn't vote for it, or the vote when it was voted for was blase. So it came with a lot of responsibility just voting. And the same thing as a feminist group. The household, when it came to corporations and working in the household, that got destroyed in the 50s because of the war effort.
Right.
What's the picture with the woman?
lady,
Yeah, nobody's saying that women. Well, you do have misogynists and men who say women can't do the jobs of men. But then once again, I would say not disrespect, but there's a less respect for the household woman or the woman who is super nurturing, who wanted to be the mother, who wanted to be the home care provider. There was a lack of respect for them. And then fast forward to today, there is a celebration of single motherhood. There's nothing wrong with being a single. Well, to me, there's some things wrong with being a single mother, but it shouldn't be celebrated as much. I think family should be celebrated more so. Single motherhood is just a byproduct of our messed up reality. And as a group of black folks, we have to come in as a tribe to make sure that those who don't have the male in the household or women that are struggling to pick up with those things left off, but to be more smarter to make sure the next generation don't have that type of issues.
Now let me play devil's advocate with you. When mothers, specifically single mothers, don't have the means of taking care of their children, they get housing.
Yep.
They get stipends.
Yep. Medicare, food stamps. Yep.
When a man does not have that means, he goes to jail.
Right. So there's another thing also people don't realize about, let's say, child support. Child support is not for the child. Like it's in general for the child, because that's how they play us in general. But half the money that goes to child support goes to the government. So there's an incentive, a monetary incentive for the government to get you on child support. It's not about kids. They're not altruistic about kids all of a sudden. Because if they were, we would change our education.
You're just a bitter man.
I'm not bitter at all.
You're a bitter man. You're speaking to the extension of bitter man. What are you talking about? The government? That's just an excuse.
Well, it's not even an excuse. What it is it's a reality. We just explained to be a single mother has benefits. You get your Medicare, you get your food stamps, you get your housing. Those are benefits. Those aren't they're safety nets, but they're also benefits. Right. And he said the benefit of man is to go to jail. And that's why I wanted to mention about the child support and the jail support, is because once the guy go to jail, they're making money again for whom? The government. So there's
it's almost a form of convict leasing.
It is. It's convict leasing. They understood in our community is so broken up, and we can talk about how we got broken up. But we know, for example, you don't need everybody to be broken for you to have a multi-billion-dollar corporation buy the parts that are broken, right? You can have just enough that it goes under the rug, just enough trigger moments that people don't even look under the covers of some of these things, so that it feels natural for the guy to take care of your family. If not, you go to jail. And the sympathy that is disconnected from that is built in. I don't know too many men. Right. It just bit me. Yeah. Oh. I don't know too many men who don't want to be in their child's life. They don't want to be in a mother's life. And too many times, because a man who's being in a mother's life, he gets dogged out by the woman. Now, don't get it twisted. I don't blame the women. I honestly, in my life here, I blame a lot of men. And the reason I blame a lot of men is because I realize a lot of men get into relationships with women, whether it be sexual or the actual trying to get a wife, without a clear understanding of what they want to build with this woman. We don't teach that. We don't. When we walk into a relationship, a lot of guys, especially in the black community, they lead with their swag. They lead with their charm. They lead with how to kind of make her feel like, ooh, this guy here got something going on with himself.
But that's the appeal.
That's the appeal. But that once you get the then you, as a man, I believe you need to go ahead and frame what you want this woman to be. Hey, I'm looking for a serious relationship. Hey, I'm looking for a little fun. Give her the opportunity.
A little fun.
Give her the opportunity to make her choice, her mind up. What am I going to be dealing with this man with? Too many of us, we promise the world and then we back off. We lie about certain things, and to get them in bed, we don't protect ourselves. Women aren't protecting themselves. We have a child, and then we go, hey, why didn't you do this? Both sides of the party. and now we have a whole kid, another life in this world that is also guide. They don't have no guide, because now the parents didn't want kids. They didn't say, okay, we're gonna get together, have a kid. They're gonna grow up and be in this situation. No, all that's dead. Now it's two grown ass folks who can't relate to each other because they never wanted to be with each other, trying to raise a child that neither of them wanted at the time.
But let me say this. Like I feel like the onus. These are two consenting adults that came together and had intercourse.
Right.
And I feel like the onus is always placed on the man. Well, you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. And my thing is, if we're not talking about rape, these are two consenting adults. So I feel like the onus should be on both of them.
Well,
the whole time, like you said, a man is not being clear with his intention.
Yes.
Well, I think a woman should be clear in what she wants.
That's true too.
And if she realizes this man is not producing what she needs or wants,
absolutely,
then she needs to
leave.
Back away. Because I've been in situations where I have made it very clear with my intent. And I think with some women, they think that they can change a man's intent.
That's true too, yeah.
And so they kind of end up staying a little bit longer, or a lot longer than they should have.
And they get resentment.
Yes, and they don't get the outcome that they wanted, and then this guy's all types of bastards, and he hates women.
Okay, and that's the reality. That's the sign more so of maturity than to say a black man, black woman thing.
Right.
It's a personal maturity level that deals with. I'm getting older. We both getting older, you know. In these relationships, in say your 30s, for example, there's a little bit more of a, I don't call it a rush, but I would say more of a no more foolishness.
You would think. You would think. You got a lot of people. Didn't mean to cut you off. You have a lot of people who are literally modeling their lifestyles off of music videos,